I don't just talk about other people's stuff, I also make my own. Books in particular. To date, I have 4 books you can check out on Amazon. Operation Red Dragon: The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, Occult Mafia, Emerald of Maddox City, and the short story collection Assorted Absurdities, Tales of Kaiju Punk and Other Genres. Hop on down to the description for Amazon links to all 4 books. Enjoy whichever ones you read, and enjoy the video.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Omni viewer, and I'm here to report on some MonsterVerse news because I feel like there finally is something of significance to talk about. That's why I've been holding off, because a lot of the information we've been getting about the next movie up to this point hadn't really been anything truly earth-shattering. There wasn't really anything I could specifically talk about. You know, that the MonsterVerse was going to continue had technically been announced before Godzilla vs. Kong even released, when we learned about the Skull Island anime. And then of course it was confirmed after the movie's release that we would indeed be getting more material, including another movie. That the movie would begin production soon is interesting, but it doesn't necessarily give us anything to really talk about. That it will be released in March of 2024, also interesting, but if there's one thing I've learned in this game, it's that release dates can change at any point, and you don't necessarily want to jump the gun on that, otherwise you might find yourself making a correction video at some point. I learned that lesson the hard way. It's not a mistake I intend to repeat. So there had to be some other bit of news, right? There had to be something. And over this July 4th weekend, we've gotten that something. Back when it was announced that discussions were being had about what the next movie would be, an article was released that said different ideas were being bounced around. Bunch of different ideas. Including one they specifically mentioned was Son of Kong. Now, I was one of the only people who noted that Son of Kong was just one of several ideas being floated around. That didn't necessarily mean it was the idea, and quite frankly, it didn't seem like an idea that made much sense given what we know about the MonsterVerse. Then again, it also shouldn't be that much of a surprise that a bunch of studio executives would be tossing around ideas that have nothing to do with the content of the movies. There was another article that was recently released in which David S. Goyer was asked what one of the dumbest notes he ever got from a producer was on any of his scripts, and he said it had to go to a note from Man of Steel, where the producers said they didn't want Superman's little ship that he finds in the Arctic to be destroyed during the final battle, because if that ship is destroyed, how will Superman get back to Krypton? And Goyer was kind of stunned and had to tell them, you know, the entire opening act of this movie is devoted to watching Krypton get destroyed. And it's significant to the rest of the plot. He can't go back to Krypton. Why are you giving me this note? So the idea that these producers would somehow have missed the idea that Kong is very clearly the last of his kind doesn't surprise me. Then again, we can't rule out Son of Kong. I myself have speculated on how they could potentially do the idea without contradicting what's already been established. But I was always sure to note that there was nothing actually definitively saying that Son of Kong would be the next movie. As for everyone else, they immediately started blaring, Son of Kong is the confirmed sequel to Godzilla vs. Kong. Here's everything you need to know about Son of Kong, which is definitely going to be the next MonsterVerse movie. Did we mention that the next MonsterVerse movie is going to be Son of Kong? Yeah, that was really annoying to me. And even though there was still nothing confirming it, a lot of people still got it in their heads that, Son of Kong or not, the next movie was still somehow going to be a Kong-centric movie. Why they decided that probably was just because it seemed like it was going to be the thing. We had 2 Godzilla movies, 2.5 if you count Godzilla vs. Kong. Kong only had 1 solo movie for himself, and then there was the crossover, so also 1.5. But, you know, people were thinking, next movie's going to be a Kong movie. It just makes sense. Don't question it. Now, of course, Gormaru Island has reported on this, and they're getting it straight from the Toho source, so I'm going to report it as if it is true. We are getting confirmation from the source that Godzilla and Kong will both be featured in this movie. We are specifically noting that Godzilla is indeed going to be in this next film. So, the future of the MonsterVerse is a live-action Apple Plus series in which Godzilla will be prominent, an anime series on Netflix that will be focused on Kong and Skull Island, and a movie that's going to somehow feature both. Now, I must once again stress at this point that we don't know anything more than that. We don't know how much either of these monsters are going to be in the movie. We don't know if other monsters will be joining them from any source, new, old. Presumably there will be new ones, of course, but we don't know if there will be older ones. For all we know, this movie is a Trojan horse to get Gamera into the MonsterVerse. Anything is possible at this point. All we know is that Godzilla and Kong are both going to be in the movie. Godzilla will be in it as well. Now, could it still be Son of Kong somehow? Maybe. But at this point, it could be anything. And if other people are going to speculate, I may as well too. But my speculation is going to be based on something that's something I'm kind of surprised people are forgetting. Now again, everyone was latching on to the idea of Son of Kong being the next movie because of one line in an article that was never actually followed up on and was specified to only be one of multiple possibilities. But there's another possibility which we've seen mentioned far more often, and I can only help but wonder. Now, there are some rumors which state that the working title for this film, whatever it may wind up actually being, is Origins. That I cannot confirm. It might just be something that people are throwing around because they heard it from a friend of a friend of a friend. But it did get me thinking about what's been said about continuing the MonsterVerse in the past. Interesting phraseology, maybe it's significant. What have we actually heard people say? Michael Dougherty, back when he was talking and promoting Godzilla King of the Monsters, said he was interested in going way, way back into the past to explore the distant past of the MonsterVerse, the origins of the monsters, life in prehistory, Godzilla BC, he called it. Adam Wingard and various legendary producers have said they feel like the next logical course of action is to make a giant monster movie focused exclusively on the monsters, with little to no human presence to speak of. And we also know that both of the upcoming MonsterVerse series are not continuing after Godzilla vs. Kong. The Monarch series on Apple Plus is set between Godzilla 2014 and Godzilla King of the Monsters 2019. The Skull Island anime, I don't believe has said when it's set, but it has to be before Godzilla vs. Kong because the series takes place on Skull Island, and in Godzilla vs. Kong, Skull Island is gone. No more. It's done. Out of the picture. So it has to take place before then. And then I look around and I think, we haven't heard anything about casting. Like, supposedly the movie's entering production and starting to shoot soon. Why haven't we heard anything about who's gonna be in it? No big human stars mentioned. That's kind of curious. So I take all of that into account, and I wonder. I cannot confirm. I just want to be absolutely clear. I am just speculating, as I usually do. But I do wonder, could this be the precursor, the prequel, the movie that goes back to the beginning and shows us the world of the Titans? Like I said earlier, anything is possible. Ergo, it's just as likely as anything else. I think I presented some pretty compelling evidence to at least kind of point in that direction. I mean, the other two confirmed projects that we know about didn't go forward. They're not taking place after Godzilla vs. Kong. They're taking place before it. Could the movie be following suit and they'll just make it 3 for 3? Again, at this point, who can really say? I have no way to confirm it, one way or the other. Like I keep saying, I'm just speculating, so I don't want anyone to take me out of context and say that I'm actually making these claims. Though, if I do turn out to be right again, you heard it here first. Anyway, the really significant bit of information is that Godzilla is going to be in this movie, as is Kong, so they're both going to be present. I don't know if that means they're going to be fighting each other again, but the fact of the matter is, they're both apparently going to have a presence in this film, whatever that film winds up being. And that is the reason I waited. That was the little bit of thing I was waiting for to really give me something to talk about. And talk about it I have, so that's the news for now. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off.
Congratulations, you reached the end. If you enjoyed this video, you might want to consider supporting us on Patreon. Of course, the other way to support us is to go to Amazon and check out our books, Operation Red Dragon, The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, The Occult Mafia, Emerald of Maddox City, and Assorted Absurdities, Tales of Kaiju Punk and Other Genres. Also check the description for links to DeviantArt and other platforms we operate. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.